You're here for the deep dive because you want that edge, right? That deeper understanding of what really makes people, well, thrive instead of just getting by. So today we're diving straight into something fundamental. It's about the power of purposeful thought for achieving, real strength and success.
Yeah, and we've been digging into these excerpts from Thought and Purpose. What's really striking is how direct it is.
Right.
It doesn't mess around with abstract theory much. It just lays out this clear link between how we focus our minds and, well, what actually happens in our lives.
Exactly. Our inner world shaping our outer reality.
Precisely. It's about seeing that connection.
So think of this deep dive as getting to the heart of why some folks seem to hit their goals, navigate challenges almost effortlessly.
While others feel stuck.
Yeah, stuck, overwhelmed, of course. So our mission today is to unpack how harnessing intentional thought can be a total game changer.
And the flip side, too, how aimlessness and fear can really sabotage things.
Absolutely. Have you ever wondered why that difference exists, why some seem to glide and others struggle?
Well, that contrast, that's really the starting point in the text. Aimlessness versus intentionality.
It uses that analogy, right? The boat.
Yeah, thought as a bark. An old word for a boat adrift, no rudder, no purpose.
Just floating.
Imagine that. At the mercy of every wave, every gust of wind. That's kind of how life can feel if our thoughts don't have a central focus.
And the source material doesn't just say it's unhelpful. It calls aimlessness a vice. That's pretty strong language.
It is. It frames it not just as inactivity, but as something actively harmful. It sort of opens the door for negativity.
How so? What kind of negativity?
Well, without that central purpose, that guiding star, we become really susceptible to what it calls petty worries, fears, troubles, and self-pitying. It's like a vacuum, If you don't fill your mind with purpose, these other things just rush in.
And that leads to real problems, not just feeling bad.
Definitely. The text draws a straight line from those seemingly small anxieties to major negative outcomes. Failure, unhappiness, loss. It's quite stark.
It's a powerful reminder that our internal state isn't, separate from the world.
Not at all. And there's this underlying idea in the text. Weakness cannot persist in a power-evolving universe.
Okay, unpack that a bit. A power-evolving universe.
It suggests there's a sort of natural drive towards growth, towards strength and existence itself. And aimlessness, being a form of weakness, just can't hold up in the long run. It inevitably leads to, breakdown or failure.
So if drifting is dangerous, what's the alternative? What does thought and purpose tell us to do?
The core message is about finding a legitimate purpose in his heart. You conceive it, you define it, and then you actively set out to achieve it.
A legitimate purpose.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what kind.
Interestingly, the text suggests the specific nature of the purpose, whether it's spiritual or worldly, big or small, is less important than the dedication to it.
So it's the focus itself.
Exactly. That purpose needs to become the centralizing point of his thoughts. You orient your mental energy around it.
Like aiming a spotlight.
That's a great way to put it. And this focused dedication, this is described as the royal road to self-control and true concentration of thought.
The royal road. Meaning the best path, the direct path.
Yeah, the most effective path. It's like mental training. By constantly bringing your thoughts back to that purpose, you build focus, you build self-mastery.
But it won't always be easy, right?
Yeah.
What about failures? Setbacks?
Oh, absolutely. The text fully acknowledges that failure is likely, especially when you're starting out.
That's reassuring, actually. The fear of messing up stops a lot of people.
Right. But here's the key reframe. Even when you fail, the strength of character gained will be the measure of his true success.
So the effort itself builds something valuable, regardless of the immediate outcome.
Precisely. Those setbacks aren't dead ends. They're learning experiences. They form a new starting point for future power and triumph.
Failure as feedback, not a final judgment.
You got it.
Okay, but what if someone's listening and thinking, I don't have some grand life purpose figured out yet? Is there a starting point for them?
Yes, and it's very practical. If you don't have that big goal identified, the advice is to focus intently on the faultless performance of their duty.
Their duty, you mean like their job, chores?
Whatever tasks are right in front of you, no matter how small or mundane they might seem, the key is the quality of attention you bring to them.
So doing the small things really well.
Exactly, doing them faultlessly. This develops the core skill of gathering and focusing your thoughts. It builds resolution and energy.
It's like building foundational strength, learning to focus on something before you tackle the big things.
It's the mental equivalent of mastering basic exercises before attempting complex lifts.
And the text is pretty optimistic about where that leads. It says, once that foundation is built, there is nothing which may not be accomplished.
It's a bold claim, yeah. But it highlights the power of that focused mind. Once you can truly direct your attention, your potential expands dramatically.
It reminds me of physical training, building muscle over time.
The text makes that exact analogy. Just like someone physically weak can train and become strong.
The person with weak thoughts can strengthen them.
Right, by exercising himself in right thinking. It's not passive. It requires effort.
It talks about exerting itself, doesn't it? Adding effort to effort, patience to patience.
Strength to strength. It's that consistent application, that deliberate practice of focusing your thoughts constructively. That's how mental resilience is built.
And with that resilience, your whole perspective on challenges changes.
Absolutely. When you're driven by purpose, you start to only recognize failure as one of the pathways to attainment.
So obstacles aren't roadblocks anymore.
They become part of the path, challenges to navigate, problems to solve on the way to the goal, rather than reasons to quit.
That's the mindset of people who, as it says, make all conditions serve them.
Yes, they think strongly, attempt fearlessly, and accomplish masterfully. It's about turning adversity into advantage through the power of focused thought.
But there are enemies to this focused state, right? Internal ones.
Big time. Doubt and fear are presented as major obstacles. The text stresses charting a straight pathway mentally towards your goal.
Looking neither to the right nor to the left.
Exactly, because doubt and fear are like static, like noise. They're disintegrating elements.
Disintegrating. How so?
They break down that focused effort. They make your path crooked, ineffectual, useless. They undermine the whole structure you're trying to build with your focused thought.
It's like trying to walk a straight line while constantly looking sideways and worrying about tripping.
Perfect analogy. And the text is really clear. Thoughts of doubt and fear never accomplish anything and never can.
Never can. That's absolute.
It is. They just drain your energy, kill your resolve, and make those strong, purposeful thoughts fizzle out. Purpose, energy, power, they all weaken when doubt takes hold.
So how do we fight back against doubt and fear? What's the antidote?
Knowledge. The text says, the will to do springs from the knowledge that we can do.
So belief in your capability fuels action.
Right. And doubt and fear are called the great enemies of knowledge. When you don't understand something, or you don't believe you can do it, that's fertile ground for fear.
So encouraging those feelings, giving in to them.
Means you thwart yourself at every step. It's self-sabotage, essentially.
But it's a cycle we can break.
Definitely. The text makes another powerful statement. He who has conquered doubt and fear has conquered failure.
Conquered failure itself.
Wow. Because once you remove those internal blocks, his every thought is allied with power. Your mental energy isn't being drained anymore, it's fully directed.
So you can face difficulties head on.
You can meet them bravely and overcome them wisely, and that's when your purposes finally bloom and bring forth fruit. They actually happen.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. The core idea from thought and purpose seems to be
That thought, when it's allied fearlessly with a clear purpose, becomes a creative force, a powerful engine.
it's about taking control of that internal world, moving beyond just being tossed around by random thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. Not just being a mere bundle of wavering thoughts and fluctuating sensations, but becoming the conscious and intelligent wielder of his mental powers.
You're in the driver's seat of your own mind.
That's the essence of it. Understanding and applying that principle is the key to unlocking strength, achieving success, and really mastering whatever you set out to do.
So this deep dive really hammers home that focusing our minds intentionally, choosing a direction, and pushing back against aimlessness and fear.
Yeah.
It isn't just nice philosophy.
No, it's presented as the practical bedrock for building a meaningful, effective life.
And importantly, it's something anyone can cultivate. Even if your thoughts feel weak now, the text insists you can strengthen them.
Through that consistent effort, that practice, it's a skill to be developed.
So maybe the thing to leave everyone with is this. Think about one area in your life right now. Just one area where applying this focused, purposeful thought while really consciously shutting out the doubt and fear could make the biggest difference.
What could actually change if you did that? What might become possible then? That's definitely something worth reflecting on.